After the BIIPD recovered the remains of a young woman named Elena Laron from the East Side River, they went on to investigate the crime. Police had been looking into a few murder cases by the East Side River. However, the demise of Miss Elena Laron didn't seem to be connected with them in any way. But then again, sometimes the most unpredictable cases ended up being linked with one another. The police continued on to question neighbors, friends, and family of the young woman. However, it was after checking her phone records that they discovered she had gone to visit a man named Daniel White, who happened to be her ex-boyfriend. Mr. Daniel White, I'm Officer Pete, BIIPD. May we have a word? Sure, officer. Is everything okay? I'm sure you're not as naive as you speak. You must have heard your ex-girlfriend, Miss Elena Laron, is no more. Yes, I've heard. But to be honest, I don't really care. I don't have to do anything with her. She doesn't mean anything to me. Of course, Mr. White, we've spoken to a few friends and family and gotten to know you and Miss Elena were in a 3-year-long relationship. What happened all of a sudden? Is this a grudge that you've taken out on her for ending the relationship with you? Officer, I don't think it necessary to share my personal life with anyone. But are you trying to hint that I was responsible for her death? Perhaps I should let you know that Elena came here on her own will to pick up some of her files. I don't know where she went after that. And if you still want to doubt me, then I can provide you with evidence that I was with someone else on Friday night. Upon speaking to Daniel, the police checked the security footage and spoke to a few neighboring tenants in the building, and it seemed that Daniel was speaking the truth. Officers, Daniel is a quiet person. He likes to maintain peace, but as far as I remember from that night, I overheard Elena harassing him to let her enter the apartment out in the corridor. I know I have nothing to do with this, but I didn't appreciate how she treated him. I've been through a lot myself, and I can tell you, no man deserves a woman like that. The police then went on to confirm Mr. Daniel White's supposed alibi. Yes, officers, I called up Daniel around 7:30. And we met soon after that at the nearby subway. We went to a restaurant from there. I can show you the receipts. My roommate Eva also knew I had a date on Friday. It was around 12 a.m. on Friday night. Daniel dropped Vivian off at our apartment. Vivian didn't want to invite him in because of me, but I didn't want to ruin the night for her, so I decided to spend the night somewhere else, at a friend's house. Since Daniel was able to provide a strong alibi, he was let off the hook. The police continued on with their investigation. However, when months had gone by and they hadn't been able to get any further, the case was put aside. Daniel and Vivian had been together for the past 2 years. Vivian had graduated from college and got a really good job, and Daniel was doing well in his life. He was finally able to get out of that dark, lonely place he had gone into. He was able to experience that happiness in his life again that Elena had snatched away when she betrayed him. Love was a strange thing indeed. Was Vivian the one he was searching for? It all started with one date, after which Vivian and Daniel had connected in such a way that she hadn't with anyone else. Vivian had never been in a long-term relationship with anyone before. She had always been the shy type, staying away from guys for the most part. If it weren't for Eva, she would have never even spoken to Daniel. He's the perfect guy, Eva. It's like I've met my soulmate. You're such a princess, Vivian. These lovey-dovey relationships don't last forever, alright? I'm never gonna forget that jerk, Eric. He told me he loved me. He told me he would do everything for me, and then he left me all on my own. I was 17. I wasn't gonna go back home to my parents after I ran away, and I didn't have any place to go either. It was difficult, until I finally found you. Don't worry, Eva. You know I've always got your back. You're my best friend. Right, like you even remember me these days. It's all about Daniel and his... And his what? Everything I don't have and never will? Oh, Eva, it's not all about that. Daniel and Vivian's 4th anniversary was coming up, and Daniel was more than excited to surprise her and take her out somewhere far. However, as the date neared, Vivian got held up between her busy schedule at her workplace. "I'm so sorry, Daniel. I promised my boss I would be there for his party. I can't miss this. This will boost my career." "Out of all nights on our anniversary?" "I know, sweetheart. I'll be back home before 8. We can celebrate at home. We're together all the time. But this one occasion I can't miss. Try to understand." "All right." It was 10 p.m., and Daniel had been sitting at the table for a while now. Vivian was late. He had called her once, but she seemed to be in a hurry not to get home but to put the phone down. This wasn't the first time Daniel had noticed this. Vivian had been different lately. Like something else was always on her mind. Daniel hadn't lost the least bit of love for her over these long 4 years. But in the last year, he felt like Vivian was starting to lose interest in him. Or was it something else? Vivian would rather be with her friends or finish up work than sit by his side. Daniel always tried to be a good boyfriend, keep the romance alive, bring back that spark. Was there something Vivian couldn't talk to him about? Or were all these women the same? Numerous thoughts ran through Daniel's mind as the minutes ticked by. He had no doubt Vivian was a faithful partner, but her love for him was dying out, just like Elena. "What's wrong, Viv? Why do you look so down?" "It's nothing. Look, I've known you for 5 years. Don't lie to me." "It's Daniel. He's been behaving a little odd lately. Maybe he's upset, and maybe it's kinda my fault too. But come on, it's been 4 years. I need my own space sometimes, you know?" "He's being overly possessive?" "Not in a bad way. I mean, I want a man that desires being with me, but not all the time. Daniel hasn't been taking that well. It's kinda scary at times. Like the night of our anniversary, I got there a little late and he was pissed." "Don't tolerate that kind of nonsense. Don't let anyone treat you bad, alright? Just because you're with him doesn't mean he rules over you. Everyone needs alone time. Be the boss. You got me?" "I'm not like you, Eva. I cannot be the boss in everything. Maybe it's time I just talk to him. I'll go there tomorrow." Shocking news for residents of Astoria, Queens. Yet another gruesome discovery of the remains of a young woman, Vivian Monet, near the East Side River. Except this time, the police did not recover remains from the river or river bank from an apartment nearby. Friday evening, Daniel White returned home from work and found his girlfriend Vivian lifeless. Authorities are now looking into the case. The condition of the remains seemed to indicate she might have taken her own life, but certain signs have raised suspicion. Police say prime suspects happen to be Mr. White himself. However, when security footage was checked, it was found that Mr. White had been out of his apartment during the time. No one else had entered or left the apartment. However, police are now suspecting that the culprit could be someone else from the building. Eva was devastated when she got the news of Vivian's demise. She never in her life imagined Vivian would take her own life. It's her funeral. Eva was among the first to be there. Daniel appeared traumatized. He didn't want to cry, but his eyes were red and teary. "Vivian was my life. I met her when I was suffering from depression, and Vivian had brought happiness back into my life. But after 4 years of being with her, I just don't know what happened. I could sense that Vivian was holding on to something that perhaps led her to take such a step. If only I could respite her from her depression, this would have never happened. I blame myself. It's my fault. With Vivian gone, I don't know how I'm alive. May she rest in peace." After the funeral ceremony, Daniel returned to his apartment. He was exhausted with everything that had come to pass. He didn't even have the appetite to eat even a morsel. He drank a glass of water and went straight to bed alone. However, sometime in the middle of the night, Daniel woke up to a noise from his kitchen. Just as he was about to get out of bed, he saw a dark figure enter his bedroom. He could just barely make out the glaring knife in the man's hand. The man stood there, wearing all black, his face covered. "Who are you, and how did you get in here? If you take another step, I'll call the police." Daniel was quite taken aback to hear a familiar woman's voice. The intruder pulled down her hoodie as she held the knife at him. "The police won't come to take me. They'll come to take your body." "Eva, what are you doing here? Like this? What are you talking about?" "I know what you did." "What do you mean? What did I do?" "Don't act innocent. You can't fool me." "Eva, I really don't know what you're talking about. I knew Vivian better than anyone else. She didn't take her life. You did." "Eva, you've lost your mind. Look, things have been difficult enough. Don't do this. I don't want to call the police on you. Just go home." "You're so cunning. That act at her funeral, so innocent. Vivian would never take her own life. She was too religious. I knew it was you the minute you implied that Vivian was suicidal." Daniel slowly tried to inch forward to stop Eva. This girl had gone mad in her grief. "Listen, Eva, I know you have feelings for Vivian. I know her death has been tough on you, but things are not going to get better by behaving like this. Take things easy. Let's talk." "You disgust me. I don't have a single doubt that you were behind this. I just don't know how you erased all the evidence." Eva screamed as she lunged forward with the knife. Daniel immediately caught hold of her wrist, overpowering her in just fractions of a second. Eva fell lifeless to the floor, now stained and red. Daniel looked at her. "What a stupid girl. You ran away when you were 17 and thought yourself tough? Came here to kill me with a flimsy knife? You don't know how I erased all the evidence? I'm a software engineer, you fool. I have my secrets. This time, things are going to be more easy for me." Daniel wouldn't have to cover up this one, because Eva trespassed onto his property and tried to kill him. This time, the law was going to be on his side. He had all the right to defend himself. Late at night, police rushed to a call from an apartment by the East Side River. They were shocked to discover Eva Simmons lifeless in the apartment of Daniel White. They immediately checked all security footage and found that the woman had indeed broken into Mr. White's apartment and attempted to attack him. "Officers, I didn't have a choice. I didn't intend for something like this. I tried to talk to her. I tried to reason with her, but she wouldn't listen." Daniel White, found innocent after all investigation. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.